It's a glad welcome we bring to you this afternoon, filled with the desires, hopes, and dreams we all share. Good afternoon, everyone, esteemed guests, distinguished colleagues, and my dear students. A very warm welcome to all present here. On behalf of Alva's Education Foundation, it's my distinct honor to welcome you to this session conducted by Sakshama Alva's Women's Association on the topic Legal Framework and Women's Safety, Persistent Challenges. We are deeply honored by the presence of our resource person, Professor Dr. Shashikala Gurupura, Director of Symbiosis Law School, Pune, and Dean, Faculty of Law. Guest of honor, Dr. Grishma Vivek Alva, Administrator, Alva's Pharmacy, and Dr. Archana Prabhat, President of Alva's Sakshama Women's Association. With immense respect and admiration, I invite all the esteemed guests to occupy their seats on the dais. Nothing can be more reassuring and heartwarming than affectionate words of welcome. First and foremost, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our resource person, Dr. Shashikala Gurupura, who has graciously accepted our invitation and took the time of the day to be with us. She is a remarkable individual who has achieved great success in her field of expertise, being it in the field of legal education. She has been a source of inspiration to many, and her words of wisdom and encouragement will undoubtedly motivate us. She is with us today to share her valuable insights and perspectives on a very interesting topic, legal framework and women's safety, persistent challenges. I'm sure that this session with our resource person will be a valuable learning opportunity and experience for all of us. Dear ma'am, on behalf of Alva's Education Foundation and Sakshama Alva's Women's Association, I extend my warmest greetings and hearty welcome to you. Dear audience, give a round of applause to welcome Professor Dr. Shashikala Gurupura. May I now request Dr. Grishma Vivek Alva to formally welcome Professor Dr. Shashikala Gurupura with a token of love. I also extend a hearty welcome to Dr. Grishma Vivek Alva, Administrator, Alva's Pharmacy, and the convener of Sakshama Alva's Women's Association, who is the source of constant encouragement and inspiration for us. Your leadership drives us towards excellence, and we are grateful for your presence today. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Grishma Vivek Alva with a round of applause. It's my great pleasure to welcome Dr. Archana Prabhat, President of Sakshama Alva's Women's Association, who has worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make this event a reality. Dear ma'am, a warm welcome to you to the program. A hearty welcome to Mr. Nistula A. Murphy, son of Professor Dr. Shashikala Gurupura, Maya Sound, Managing Director, VL Foundation, and Gurupur Murphy Law Associates, LLP. Welcome you, sir. A warm welcome is extended to all the principals, faculty members, non-teaching staffs, and the students from various colleges, and to the media persons who have graced their occasions with their presence. welcome you all. To begin this program, we are pleased to have Dr. Archana Prabhat, President of Sakshama, Alva's Women's Association, to deliver the introductory remarks.
The empowerment of women is the key to the empowerment of our nation. These powerful words by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam perfectly capture the spirit of Sakshama. Respected dignitaries, on and off the days, a warm good afternoon to one and all present here. Under the visionary leadership of Dr. Grishma Alva, Sakshama has grown into a vibrant platform where women are empowered not only to rise but also to uplift others along the way. From its very inception till date, Sakshama has been a journey of purpose, participation, and progress. With the active involvement of all faculty members of Alva's Education Foundation, a unified and result-driven initiative is underway to empower women and elevate their growth to the next level of success. Reflecting this vision, last year's Women's Day celebration stood as a powerful milestone in our journey. Women changemakers from diverse walks of life were felicitated for their outstanding achievements, celebrating excellence, resilience, and leadership. Distinguished personalities such as Dr. Girja Lokesh, Dr. Smita Egde, Mrs. Tejaswini Anand Kumar, Rupa Arun, Tulasi Gowda, Dr. Nandini, and Mata Meenakshi shared their inspiring journeys, truly motivating us. This journey has been continued to celebrate a wide array of meaningful activities. Cultural competition, sports meet, Mother's Day celebrations through letter writing and reel making, and Talents Day events that brought out the strength, creativity, and confidence of our participants. Our monthly theme-based meetings open doors to thoughtful engagements like short movies on juice led to a great discussion, reflection on Parva by S.L. Bhairappa, and soulful recitations of Shishunal Sharif with many more initiatives in the pipeline. In addition, a workshop on workplace etiquette for both teaching and non-teaching staff was conducted and received an encouraging response. Sessions on entrepreneurial skills and financial literacy also witnessed enthusiastic participation with a large number of attendees actively engaging in discussion and activities here. One of our proudest milestones was the National Conclave on Women's Health, where experts from diverse genres came together to deliberate on women's health in today's world. The conclave highlighted crucial issues such as the adverse impact of social media on women's overall well-being, the importance of awareness, and the need to shape healthier futures through informed choices and sustainable wellness practices. Moving beyond, our extension activities included a health awareness camp, diet counseling, interactive forums, and a seed cycling workshop for young adolescents. These initiatives addressed crucial health concerns and ensured that Sakshama's impact extended into everyone's life and holistic well-being. In alignment with our Madam's dream, the podcast initiative is now in action, amplifying women's voices and stories of success. Right from the beginning, Sakshama has stood for consistency, collaboration, and collective growth. An array of activities continues to unfold, which reinforcing our belief that empowered women create empowered communities. As we now step into today's session on legal framework and women's safety, persistent challenges, let's engage with open minds and thoughtful perspectives to make this session truly meaningful and memorable. Wishing you all a great learning. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for those wonderful remarks. Now, it's the most awaited moment to gain the insight from a distinguished speaker, Professor Dr. Shashikala Gurupura. I call upon Dr. Ruchika, lecturer in biology, to introduce our resource person to the audience.
A very warm good afternoon to everyone present here. It is indeed a moment of immense pride and honor to introduce you an erudite personality. Her knowledge spans from her depth of experience in an area of expertise, whose academic brilliance, excellent leadership, and unwavering commitment to legal education have left an indelible mark both international and national levels. So let me present glimpse of her long-standing career and remarkable achievement. Professor Dr. Shashikala Gurupura brings with her an exceptional career spanning over 33 years across teaching, research, and industry. She has been associated with Symbiosis Law School, Pune since 2007, serving as its director, as the Dean, Faculty of Law, Symbiosis International University. She is also the chairperson of IP Cell SIU, and she is widely recognized as a distinguished academician, an inspiring orator, and an eminent editor, and also a National Merit Scholar and university topper in LLM. She holds a PhD in international law. Her academic journey includes teaching at a premier institution such as National Law School of India University, Bangalore, Manipal University, and the National University College, Ireland. She has also been appointed as an honorary professor at the College of Business, Public Policy and Law, University of Galway, Ireland, and visitor and resource person at the West Bengal National University of Juridical Sciences. In recognition of her outstanding contribution, she received the Distinguished Women Achiever Award in the year 2024 from the Society of Indian Law Firms. She was featured among the illustrious 100 women personalities in the book The Phenomenal She, launched by the Indian National Bar Association. And she also served as a former member of the Law Commission of India, the Indian National Judicial Academy, and the Bar Council of India. Her excellence has been further acknowledged by her inclusion among the 100 legal luminaries of India in 2016, and by being conferred the prestigious Kitturu Rani Chinnamma Award by the Government of Karnataka for her exemplary contribution to education and women empowerment. Her research credentials are worthy of appreciation. She has over 108 publications, 4 co-authored books, 17 book chapters to her credit. She has delivered more than 335 invited lectures and workshops on gender literacy, human rights, media literacy, and legal education across India, Thailand, US, the UK, Ireland, Germany, Australia, Canada, and UAE. She is a pioneer of European Union legal studies in India and has edited the acclaimed book, International Law in Pursuit of Global Justice, Reflections from Contemporary India. She is also associated with the Global Evaluation and Accreditation International Association of Law School, US. As a dedicated mentor, she has also successfully guided 16 PhD scholars and is also currently guiding 3 more doctoral researchers. She is leading the Government of India Spark project and 4 European Union-funded research grants. Her leadership roles extend to national policy making and governance. She is the chairperson of subcommittee on legal education under the Confederation of Indian Industry. Among her most coveted professional achievement, she is being awarded as the Jean Monnet Chair Professor by the Erasmus Program of the European Union. Under her visionary leadership, Symbiosis Law School, Pune has consistently ranked among the top 5 law schools in India, achieving robust internationalization, academic excellence, and impactful research, successfully leading to its replication in Noida, Hyderabad, and Nagpur. Ladies and gentlemen, an accomplished academician with brilliant mind and humble heart, it is my honor to present to you Professor Dr. Shashikala Gurupura. Over to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, one and all, especially Dr. Grishma, the dynamo who is driving this great initiative, Sakshama, and all my dear colleagues who are from different walks of academics here, and dear students, whoever who is here, and the staff, all of you. You're all part of our extended family because academic people, wherever we are, we do the same service to humanity. I hail from Gurupura, as you know, which is just few kilometers away from here. Till the age of 30, I grew up here. Then a couple of years abroad. Then I came here with my mother. I was spending time when my son was very young. Then we were forced to leave this place in 2007 because I got a better opportunity. So 2007, till 2007, my engagement with Alva's group has been on and off because of the dearest brother, Dr. Mohan Alva, who has been more than a family member over the years. And we share same values, but not the same energy. His energy is unlimited. As you can see here, his energy has manifested in many forms, and he's more like a human being, in the form of human being, the great universal energy speaking. So I'm very happy and humbled by this invitation, and I should thank Dr. Grishma for taking this initiative along with my friends Dr. Sudharani and Professor Sulata and many others, and Divyashri taking the hospitality initiative. So I don't need that kind of formality because I have walked to this campus many a times. When Dr. Alva started his pharmaceutical enterprise in the beginning, I was so surprised to see that because my ancestry also has a little tinker with herbal medicine. So I was very moved with the way he was doing it in original way, and his engagement with art, his engagement with dance, fine arts, something nobody can imagine. That way he has allowed all facets of his energy to the good of humankind. There is nothing of a selfishness in that man. So I'm very thankful to God for bringing me here and for bringing such a nice family to our fold as friends and as connect, because the connection with the Alva family goes back to 2 generations from my father's time with the late Mr. Anand Alva, which was kept green by Dr. Mohan Alva, and my brothers, my sister, everyone is connected to him in one or another way. So many family connections benefited from Alva institutions. So today's occasion comes about because of the ultra-modern thinking which is driving this force through Dr. Grishma Alva. I think youthful energies are very important. Young people are very important because they are our hope. And when I met her, I spoke to her, I felt that India is very, very safe in these hands. Because we always think of this country's future. I had the possibility of settling in Europe. I come back because when I saw best things there, I thought my country doesn't have these things. Why can't we do it in here? But it took me 17 years of waiting almost to materialize it in Symbiosis Law School. And you see the result now. Today, every part of the world, the lead law school deans who visits India, they first say, we want to go to Symbiosis. Now, this has come about not only because of our founder's vision, who in 1971 thought of internationalization, it is also because of the excellence that we represent in the law school and other institutions. So, before I begin with the topic, my greatest hope and wish is that everyone comes to Mudbidri, because this will stand as the example of excellence. Today also it has many trappings of excellence, but I only wish that it flows flawlessly, without any blocks, through the greatest energy that is there now, youthful energies of 2nd generation of Alvas or 3rd generation of Alvas, with the ladies who are in the forefront, that each one of you will be standing by this mission of Dr. Alva and taking it to another level. I am here standing before you at such a juncture in Dakshin Kannada's history that in South Canara we are coming across very sad incidents in last 4, 5 years, 10 years, let us say. It's not first. When we were students also, we had these stories here and there. I myself, for one, I used to leave home at 7 o'clock and nobody knew when I will come back. I never felt this body being a woman is a limitation. And I never cared to look good. I was as I was, or to make extra makeup or to present myself attractively, because I was only interested in gaining knowledge. And in some occasions, the thirst that I had, in those days we didn't have internet. So I would go and visit my mentor's house, which he became my mentor through a friend of mine whose grand uncle he was. He was a man with the university-like collection in his house. So I used to be tempted to go to his house and then end up discussing some philosophy or music, mathematics. There was nothing we didn't discuss. And by that time, some other elderly people will join, including retired ambassador Baglodi Devrao, one of the greatest sons of this soil from Kinnigoli. And then we had other associates, Roshni Nilayas, benefactors, many people. So I was the youngest sitting in that crowd, only woman, and rest of them were all 60 plus, 70 plus people. And my father never restricted because he knew that his daughter may come late, but she is engaged in this. So how many girls are encouraged in their household to be like that? This is the first question. In Bund community, it is different because Bunds and Billavas, we are women-centric families. But in many other communities, this could be very difficult. So in this culture where woman has been so important and people crave to have a girl child, in this culture to read those news far in Pune was very shocking for me that girls are under danger. And most of the times the danger has come, not all times, but most of the times, because girls themselves have not paid attention to their own safety. And girls have become victims of, by their carelessness or ignorance, the manipulative games which has made them to end up in suicide or end up in some kind of a danger to their life. It is here that the idea of Sakshama becomes very important, that how do I care for myself as a person? How do I care for myself as a full person? Not just person as my body, but also as my other subtle bodies. As Dr. Grishma is the expert in that, we call it Panchakosha model. Means our being has got 5 different layers: emotional, physical, mental, and intellectual, which women most of the time ignore. So all these parts of our being, how we are taking care becomes very important. Now, from that point of view, how is law addressing this, and why law? And why should you all know about law? How many of you are comfortable in Kannada? That is a big number. Eldrigu Kannada barutte. How many of you are not comfortable in Kannada? There are some who can't understand Kannada, is it? Yeah, because you all are coming from, I can see, other parts of India. That's all right. So my talk today, if I can see the laptop where the slide is being shown, I can't see that. So I'll have to open my presentation. So my presentation today is going to be about this important law in this country called POSH, Protection of Women Against Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act. So can I see that it is coming? If it could be tilted a bit. Okay, I can move, is it? Yeah. I can come down and take. Okay. So I'll come down and I'll talk to you. So this session is going to be about this important law. And when we law teachers discuss law with the law students, we discuss it from the point of view of knowing the wording of the law. And when a problem comes before you as a judge or as a lawyer, how will you connect that problem to the word of the law? But when I am teaching you or when I am discussing it with you here, I will start with a story, and with that story I'll try to connect the law to you. So this is the story of a woman who is working in a call center. What is her name? As per the board, Kamini. And always she stays back at work. Many women stay back at work. They will think, not this bus, next bus, let me finish the work. The integrity in women is always very high. I don't mean to say men don't have integrity, but women always feel, because of the socio-economic and cultural upbringing, they always feel responsible. They always feel I should finish this, or I am scolded, or that I am answerable to somebody. That innate sense of responsibility. So she always stays back at work, and that particular day she had to complete the work, so she stays back. And this colleague of hers, Mr. Ravi, he offers her to buy a dinner, and he says that he will later drop her home. And as he is taking her home after the dinner, he proposes to her that can she spend the night with him. Now, for some of you who are young, it will mean that he doesn't drop her home, he wants her to go along with him, to be with him the whole night. Now, She firmly refuses. She says no. How many women do this? This is first question, you know. She firmly says no, and then she goes home. And next day again he makes the same request. And then when she refuses, he says that if you don't say yes, I will tell everyone that you have made moves towards me. ನೀವು ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದನ್ನು ಕೇಳದೇ ಇದ್ದರೆ, ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಕಳೆಯದೇ ಇದ್ದರೆ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಸರಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ. ಸಿ, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್? This behavior, this whole story has got two important parts, if you see. One is it's a woman. Second is it's a man who is making advances. Third is she refuses, and she refuses firmly first time, she refuses second time, and then he says, if you refuse this time, I will tell that you made moves. So what are these two parts? She is uncomfortable. It is something that she doesn't want. It is unwelcome. She is uncomfortable, and he is again thrusting his wish on her, and he threatens. He threatens to spoil her reputation. Understand? So this part you remember. Let's go to the next story. You have a slide changer? Slide changer idya? Illa alla. Next ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ. So next scenario is about this Renuka. Here, that was a context of a professional woman. Here is a context of a domestic worker who comes to clean the house. You know, in cities we have 1 or 2 are kind of ladies who come clean one house, they go to another house. They support so many people in their family by their work. So this Renuka is like that, and the lady of that house, she is working outside. Husband is in the house, and when she was cooking, the husband comes and tries to misbehave with her. And then when she is alone with him, many a times he has done that. Whenever she is sweeping, he'll come and pinch her. So a couple of times she notices it, and one day she told that she will report it to the lady of the house. And that time this man says that if she reports to the house, what will he do? He will accuse her of stealing. He will see that she loses her job. So here is a domestic worker who is a poor lady, and here is the man of the house. That means, in the earlier case, we spoke about a workplace, which is typical workplace, an office. Here is a place which is a home, and this is also a workplace. This is what you have to understand. And this is also a working woman. And here there is an employer, which is both the husband and wife in the ideal situation. And then he is trying to make advances towards her, and she is refusing. Here also the same element. One is unwelcome, something she doesn't want. And second is that it is a kind of harassment, which is something which is not making her comfortable, because there is also a subtle threat that if you tell anyone or if you tell the lady, you will lose your job and I will make stealing accusation against you. Which means, ಮರುದಿನ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಹೋಗಿ ನಾನು ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೇನೆ, ನೀನು ಕದ್ದಿದ್ದೀಯಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇನೆ, ನನ್ನ ಹೆಂಡತಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ ಜಾಗ್ರತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. So the workplace is different, but the situation is the same. Let's go to the third scenario. In the third scenario, look at this. She is a lawyer, but she is not practicing in the court. She is working in an NGO. And in that, both she and her boss have to go to a far off place. He is a director and he is a medical doctor, Dr. Bhavan. And then they both are into advocating human rights. And then when they go to a place for 2 days, that is Shimla, you know, usually in work we go to some other place, we do retreats, and there we develop a project, we work at ideas. So then when they both were together, he starts telling what a big hero he was, how many women he had in his life, and all those details, you know. Even talking about these details makes women uncomfortable. You don't want to listen to that. You are looking at that man as your colleague, you are looking at him as your superior, and this man is talking all these details. And then he tries to force himself. This goes one step further. He tries to force himself using extra force, and then when she refuses and she chastises, she gives back to him that you can't do this, and she chastises him and threatens, saying that I will make your behavior public. I'll tell everyone that you behave like this. And what does he say? He says, I'll destroy your career. Just like the domestic worker. You will lose your job and you will lose your name. Let's go to the next one. Why do they say this? Where is this coming from? How could they say that? Could they say that to another man? Why do they say that to a woman? And every time they use the word, we will destroy your name, we will destroy your career. Now here is another situation which is like the domestic worker. This lady is working in a garment factory, and the supervisor always comes and tries to correct her shawl or she always comes and she tries to correct, he'll be always at her back, and this is really uncomfortable for Jayanti. But all her colleagues say that they start teasing. We women also contribute to this problem. They start teasing, saying that she's receiving a special treatment from her supervisor. Now, gossip is also there. Now, just imagine yourself in Jayanti's foothold. How will you feel? And that you can't leave the job because somebody is dependent on you. You yourself need money to support yourself. And the superior is supposed to be looking at the work. Instead of that, he gets personal. Understand? So this is the fourth scenario. Let's go to next slide. So now I want you to keep that scenario in the back of your mind. ಈ ಕಥೆಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಲಿ. ಈಗ ಈ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ ನೀವು ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ನಿಮಗೆ ಈ ಶಬ್ದ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದರೆ, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ದ ಯೆಲ್ಲೋ ಟೈಲ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಗುಣಗಳುಂಟು ಅದನ್ನು ನೀವು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ. Suppose I say that an individual is dominant. ಒಂಥರ ದಬ್ಬಾಳಿಕೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದು ಗಂಡ ಹೆಣ್ಣ, ಮೇಲ್ ಆರ್ ಫೀಮೇಲ್. ಇಫ್ ಐ ಸೇ ಡಾಮಿನೆಂಟ್, ವಾಟ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಟು ಯೋರ್ ಮೈಂಡ್? ಕ್ವಿಕ್ಲಿ ಯು ಟು ಆನ್ಸರ್. ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಯು ದ ರೀಸನ್. ಹೌ ಮೆನಿ ಆಫ್ ಯು ಸೇ ಮೇಲ್? Majority. Suppose I say loving, male or female? How many say female? See? Positive qualities, female. Head of the family. How many of you say male? Head of the family. And then tender. Female. Cleaning. Hoy. ಎಲ್ಲ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೂ ಕ್ಲೀನಿಂಗ್ ಫೀಮೇಲೇ. ಮೆನ್ ಡೋಂಟ್. ದಕ್ಷಿಣ ಕನ್ನಡದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಅದು. ಸೊ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಯು ವೈ ವಿ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಯು ಟು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ಲಿ. ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಗೋ ಟು ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್. ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್/ಪವರ್. Breadwinner, almost like head of the family. How many of you say both? Okay. How many of you say male? Majority. No. Some are uncertain. And then sacrifice. How many say female? Okay. What about single dads? Like Mohan Alva, he lost his wife when the boys were very young. So, and then washing clothes. Female, even if you have washing machine. Okay, so why I am asking this question is, see, our mind, when it processes information, after 30 seconds, our mind becomes very conscious. So we start applying our rationality. Could this be completely true? But in the first 30 seconds, our mind is irrational. So we give the views which is really embedded in our mind. That's why I ask you to hurry with your answers. So let's analyze each one for one second. Dominant. Most of you said male is dominant. Ellaru helidri purusha dominant. But aren't there dominant women? Yeah. If you ask all the men in this hall, they will definitely tell, I have seen dominant women, I have seen women who are manipulative. So, dominant is one. Let's go to loving. Aren't there loving men? And why this organization has 60% women among students, among faculty, among staff? Because they feel connected. That means the quality of loving is very much seen in society, in a majority way with mother's love to begin with, in a loving manner through women, but men do not express their love. Why? And we have this image of a male or female in these connotations, which we call as attributes. For example, sacrifice as an attribute, loving as an attribute, breadwinner as an attribute, because this is the dominant image that is circulated in the society, like a stereo. ಅಂದರೆ ಆಗಾಗ ಪುನರಾವರ್ತನೆ ಆಗುವ ಸಿದ್ಧ ಮಾದರಿ, ಇದೊಂದು ಮಾದರಿ. ಪುರುಷನ ಮಾದರಿ ಹೀಗೆ, ಮಹಿಳೆಯ ಮಾದರಿ ಹೀಗೆ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟ್ ಗಿವನ್ ಟು ಬಯಾಲಜಿಕಲ್ ಫೀಮೇಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬಯಾಲಜಿಕಲ್ ಮೇಲ್. ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸೀನ್ ಇನ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲೀಸ್ ಮೆನ್ ಹೂ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್. I saw my husband also minding my son when he was infant. So men also have that tenderness. They also have that capacity to handle an infant. But women never give them chance. They say that, no, you don't do that. They don't trust men with the infant. But actually men do a better job or equally good job. We don't give that opportunity. So society has excluded them from this tenderness. And I don't know how many of you have read in Mafiosi, men are not allowed to fall in love, they are not allowed to be with children because the harshness will be lost. It is good for men to spend time with children. This is, society should facilitate young boys and girls to spend in family care, as you were saying, parental education and all of this in simulation, going and spending time in elderly home for the aged and things like that, so that their tender side is nurtured. We don't nurture that side. Because we have this attribute. Man means he has to be a macho man, he has to be masculine and muscular, and a thin man is always made fun of, a masculine woman is made fun of. So we have these stereotypes, ready models of male and female. In that way, we have, the society has limited the growth of man and growth of woman. It's good to be a woman to adopt certain qualities which are otherwise attributed only to men. For example, being dominant or being head of the household. Why not? Women have so many skills. And those skills are always used in nurturing a family, in nurturing the young one. They could be easily nurturing an organization. They could, I took inspiration from my teachers in St. Agnes College. All the nuns used to run that huge enterprise. No man in that team which was running the college. 1 century it completed recently. So that means women cannot be capable is not correct. Women have this capacity. So this kind of stereotyping is what we have to challenge to ourselves and to our organization, to our team. For example, if we are doing a work, if there are only women in our team, see that there is a male member. I do that because I have a dominant women group. So I see that boys are there. And if it is only boys team which is doing an activity, I see that there is at least 50% membership of girls. So that both nurture each other and both develop each other. Ultimately, we are all one humanity. So what I want to say, you said head of the family means male. Global South, which is Africa, Asia, and South America, if you see, 5 out of 7 households are headed by women. And these households are poorer because the male member of the house is not supporting at all. The male member leads a life which is very free, carefree. And woman heads the household and nurtures the children and supports the children. So head of the family is not always male. The dominant idea which comes in newspaper and other places is a male and female and then others, and the female adopting male's surname and female towing the line of the male. So this is the dominant image that we have. But the truth is not what is dominant. What is circulated in the society is part of the truth. It's not the full truth. The full truth is each one of us has all those qualities because we have the same amount of gray matter in the brain. Doctors will bail me out. We have the same amount of chromosomes in the body. Maybe certain chromosomes are different in male and female. Therefore, our body structures are different because one body is supposed to nurture the offspring. Now, these differences we should have celebrated. I should be happy about my wife's capacity to withstand that delivery pain. Whereas I am not able to bear the highest pain of the kidney pain. Kidney stone pain is nothing compared to delivery pain if you are looking at in terms of pain intensity. If she is able to bear that, if her body is designed to bear that, that means she is really superior to me. Whereas, like some tennis players once upon a time said, women, what service they serve in tennis. Compared to my speed, her speed is 1/10. Agreed, your muscles are stronger than mine. But that doesn't mean that my other qualities which are there in you. So we should celebrate these differences. Her differences, my differences, both these differences are to be understood in their context. When the society was evolving, we needed muscular capacity. Today we do the same job with machines. When the society is evolving, these women who were spending whole day in processing the food, now they have a lot of time left. So let their intellectual side grow. Let them participate in public life. So this is how civilization, when it evolves, it's very important to have gender equality. Equality doesn't mean sameness. We don't want to smoke like men smoke. We don't want to wear clothes like men to be equal. We want to have that essence of ours to be experienced in the similar manner so that we get equal access and equal opportunity. That is the constitutional equality. Equal access and equal opportunity. Give the opportunity, the woman will prove. So
My own experience, what I felt is when I took over as the law dean, in the whole country, there would have been handful of women who would have been law deans. In Pune, other than me, there was one lady. She was the dean because her father was the trustee of the organization, and they didn't want the organization to be given into somebody else's hand. Whereas our founder is a scientist. So he always believed that women are superior, Saraswat, and his mother was influencing his life, son of an attorney. So the minute he met me, he said, when he founded the college also, there was a woman who was leading the college. So he handed over the college to be administered. So for a woman to be a law dean in a male-dominant profession governing education is a very unique beginning. But once you go there, in all meetings, you are alone because all the other vice chancellors are all men. Now, a lot of women vice chancellors are coming up. Like my own colleague now went as a vice chancellor in a rural national law school. And in Jodhpur now we have a woman. Otherwise, National Law University didn't have women vice chancellors. So this is how our profession was. Medical profession, long ago, women were always relegated to gynecology or pediatrics because that was very safe for women. Surgeon women, or physician women, much later it came. In every profession, this kind of exclusion, denial, exploitation. Even if women enter the stream, they will be paid less than men because they will tell, oh, these are dinkies, means double income, no kids kind of family. So this kind of vocabulary dominated. So women means 40% less salary because why do they need money? Because nobody ever thought that woman is also an individual. She has to have the purchase power. I did a study in the villages when I was teaching in Mangalore, when I started my career in early 90s. And in the agricultural sector, we saw women being paid in the form of food grains, not in money. And men were being paid in cash. So I used to ask, why cash for him? Otherwise he won't come. I said, then can't she do that work? Can't he be paid? Then they used to say, my mother used to say, that the work that he does, she is not supposed to do. I said, what do you mean by not supposed to do? See, climbing the haystack, only men do. Women don't do. So we gave an opportunity to a woman. My father gave an opportunity. And that woman did the haystack taller than the man. But the pay was in grains. Her grains would straight away go home. She'll cook the meal for the family. But the cash that he gets goes to the arak shop so that he can entertain himself. Very few men come back to the wife and say that keep this for today's food grain, or because working class mentality is always that I get body pain, so let me have some arak and I have the money. But the woman doesn't get body pain. She will always forget her body pain because she's thinking of the family's food and family's tomorrow. So this is the contrast that I saw even in the working class. Therefore, when we are talking about these stereotypes, we have to understand that coming out of stereotype is the first thing that all of us have to do. The minute you start thinking outside the stereotype, we ourselves will realize how we have demeaned womanhood, how we have not made our own identity to be strong because we have taken what the society has said about us. So today, when you understand stereotype, you become critical thinker. You evaluate everything that is given by the society. Think differently. That is the first powerful step that all of us have to take. I hope that's clear. Anybody has a question on that? Yeah? How many of you are listening to the stereotype idea for the first time? And for the first time. ಸಿದ್ಧ ಮಾದರಿಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದಿರಾ ಮೊದಲು ಈ ಥರ? ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ಕೇಳಿದರೆ ನೀವು ಆ ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಹೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಅಂದರೆ ವುಮನ್, ಮೇಲ್. ಸೊ ಯು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್, ರೈಟ್? ಇದು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಸೈಸ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಸೈಸ್ we need, we are a group now, therefore we can't conduct this exercise. In small groups we used to conduct. Take out the newspaper. For us, what is not in the news doesn't exist. We make sense of the reality by reading newspaper. So if you open the newspaper on first page, which is supposed to be the major news page, third page, which is supposed to be the local news page, and the last page, in all these pages, how many times women appear? You just ask that question. Now we have a woman president, we have a woman prime minister, finance minister, so we have some news about women. Women appear in the newspaper. Otherwise, why do they appear? Take out that Times of India. Woman appears on the right hand corner, skimpily clad, big lipstick. Because woman is used there as a commodity to attract the purchaser. On the other hand, if you are asking for serious news page or news making, Our study showed in 1995, in 2000, in 2005, that only 7% of the news have women in focus. Rest of the 95% or 93% news has men in focus. Secondly, we did the television news analysis also. The women news readers always came in the age group of 25 to 30. Whereas men, if they had grey, it was like a extra cosmetic for men. For women, if they appeared old, they wouldn't come. Except in DD. In DD, we had a couple of old news readers. In Air India, we have elderly cabin crew. But you wouldn't see that in private airways. Because woman is always seen as someone who is titillating, who is in these industries and in these... Woman's appearance, man's talk. Woman's gait, man's ideas. So, as if when Sucheta Dalal, this lady who reported Harshad Mehta scam, when she came, people for the first time realized that women can report serious things like politics and finance. Chitra Subramaniam, who reported Bofors issue in the Hindu. Then people realized that women can make expert talkers. Today we have a lot of them in all private channels. Palki Sharma, she is one of the very famous news anchors. So this came much, or a political analyst, or Radhika Roy in NDTV. So women becoming, some journalism students might be here. I've done extensive study on women in media. So we can do a lot of studies, like advertisements if you take out. You can see how these stereotypes repeat in advertisement also. You can see how stereotype comes in important facet of the news. So when does the news change to have more women? If there are more women in power, if there are more women in policy making, if there are more expert women, then automatically this picture will change, because we hold, as Mao said, half the sky. We are 50% of the population. How can we appear only in 6% in news making page if we are 50%? Then what's happening to our other women? Other, let us say 43%. That is the question that we have to ask. It is because the women are not having access and opportunity. This is what we have to remember. Then they will tell, it's because these women are also wasting time. They are more interested in beauty parlors and this than reading a serious book. So they will blame the women. No, it is the way they have seen their moms, their grandmothers and others, and they have adopted that. The minute they start questioning, they become different. So this is how we have to see. How do we want our women to be? So we did this analysis, that is the red tile. You all can do that exercise in your small groups. Let's go to the next slide. So the next slide is talking about, if we are talking about empowerment of women, first thing we have to understand is that what is biological is the sex, but to every sex we have attributed a social economic function. That is the gender. So difference between sex and gender is that gender is an attribute, sex is biological. So with the same biological sex, we could have achiever women. We could have women who never got an opportunity. So that is because the society restricted them, or they themselves got restricted because these attitudes were fed into their mind. Artha aitalla elrige biological sex ಮತ್ತು ಸೋಷಿಯಲಾಜಿಕಲಿ ಆ ಸೆಕ್ಸಿಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟ ಅಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟ್ ಏನು ನಾವು ಕೊಡ್ತೇವೆ, ಆ ಮೂಲಕ ಅವಕಾಶಗಳಿಂದ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರು ವಂಚಿತರಾಗ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್. Then we have in law a whole school of thought called feminist jurisprudence. For example, when a woman who is in a violent marriage ends up killing her husband, and when she is when she is brought to the court, how does the court look at her? So feminist jurisprudence talks about how court becomes biased towards her, how the judges become biased, and then the later psychological studies pointed out how living in violence constantly makes the brain to be affected, and the woman ends up using disproportionate use of force. In the beginning, if she could have told that, you're touching me, you're not supposed to touch, you're not supposed to use violence, the equation would have altered. But she goes on putting up with it without realizing what impact it has on her mental peace and how it alters her personality from a soft, tender girl to becoming a murderer. Next thing is, she takes something in the hand, she doesn't know from where she gets the force, and she ends up beating him. And he dies, or he incurs injury, it becomes attempt to murder case or murder case. You understand? So there are studies on this. United Nations, ever since it conducted the first global women's conference in 1995, one issue it is battling in the entire world is violence. Violence is violence against women, women becoming victims of violence in intimate partner violence. Intimate partner means it could be husband, it could be boyfriend, it could be somebody in the school or college. Constantly women becoming the target of violence. This is the problem that United Nations has been battling with. So one study which was conducted in 1995 looked at this, post 1995, which became the discussion point in 2000. Sri Lankan lady, Radhika Kumaraswamy led that committee. After that, at national level also we discussed. So in India we passed this legislation. One legislation was passed to protect women in the domestic space. The other legislation that we have now is in the workspace. Because violence in every form was a huge challenge for women's empowerment and women's rights. I'll tell you what happens to this woman. She gets married, she starts living with this man. First, this man tries to be very nice to her. After some time, for many reasons, I don't mean to be judgmental on men or conclude about men, but for whatever reasons, the trauma or whatever. First the man is normal, then after that he starts abusing her verbally, and then one day he hits her. She goes back to her mother's place. She says, he hit me today. Then the mother says, this is all common. It's not a big deal. Only once, right? And he gently hit, right? And then she brings him back and sends her back. And after that, one hit becomes 10 hits. Then he stops supplying the funds. She can't call her home. Many girls have faced this. We know this. Here also in South Canara, we have come across cases where once she gets married, her right to visit her mother's house is deprived. And one of my friends used to say, yes, that is right, because then what if this girl comes and stays in her mother's house and makes it a habit? In Dakshin Kannada, we have matrilineal culture, and for women, coming to mother's house is a right. That's why here the violence cases are much less. During dowry burning, bride burning cases, which we did a study with Vimochana in 1995, South Canara had minuscule of number. Not that it didn't have, but Bangalore and all had large numbers. Because women don't have a right to come back to their parents, and parents don't trust, and parents send them back to this house. They say, Satru alle sai, elli sai beda. ನೀನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದರೆ ನಿನ್ನ ತಂಗಿಗೆ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಮದುವೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ನಾವು ನೆರೆಹೊರೆಯವರ ಮುಂದೆ ತಲೆ ಎತ್ತಿ ನಡೆದಾಡ್ದು ಹೇಗೆ? So these family members, when we did a public hearing, they came in our witness box, and it was Vimochana NGO which had organized. They had their tears. So there is a book also, Katakateyalli Kanneeru, which is about this public hearing. So you understand now how violence escalates. So violence begins as a small step, it escalates, then love becomes small, violence becomes more. And then the only solution is first to separate them, make them go through a kind of therapy, and then bring them back. Breaks are very good, or counsel them to engage their energies in a better way. But you wouldn't let her get out of the house. And then she will go on thinking, then she thinks, I'm helpless, I can't do anything. You go and talk to such women. They'll tell, if I get out, this will happen, society will be bad. Because constantly living under fear kills all the hope. And then there is also a myth. Why this woman continues? Why he beats her? So some say, woman continues because she must like to be beaten. Who likes to be beaten? Even animals don't like to be beaten. Second, he is beating her, otherwise he is a very good man. So he is beating her, maybe she is doing something wrong. So blame the victim. Then the third one is, she is continuing there because she has children. So in many cases, because of children, women continue with this relationship. But does that mean you stop caring for yourself, not telling anybody? And then, if she wants to tell anyone also, he is locking the house and going to his office, not giving her any money, she is not working, has no access, telephone is off, no independent SIM for her. So all these kinds of things. Now, fortunately, with technology, parents are also taking care. And when the girl doesn't call for months, parents also think that, oh, she's happy there. She's adjusted now. Earlier, she used to complain. So this is how the whole game of violence in different cultures, how it is going on. This is a big worry for everybody. And mind you, violence has not stopped. National Crime Statistics Bureau, I was studying when we were sending recommendations to Mr. Amit Shah on the new criminal law. We saw that one statistics is on the increase. Violence against women by their husband and relatives. Continuously increasing. During COVID-19, 35% increase. Women's Commission received so many anonymous calls. And in one case, the father was a teacher and he asked the neighbor to file the complaint because the daughter didn't have access to telephone. She didn't have access to, she was having a computer, one computer in the house, and he had locked it. So the father asks a neighbor to file a complaint, proxy complaint, and then the Women's Commission swung into action. So don't you ever think that this is the past, this happens only in the poor people. No, this is another thing. Some military officers tell me, this must be happening in the slums, not in civilized society. Not true. Richest millionaire in Ireland giving 70 pounds a week to his wife for maintenance. Because they want to restrict. It's a kind of different mindset, sick mindset, which results in economic violence, social violence, physical violence, mental violence. All of this is captured in a Domestic Violence Act in India, which was passed in 2005. So this is one thing, empowerment of women through the law. How does the law empower? First of all, this kind of knowledge that we are gathering today, literacy. Secondly, having certain remedy to prevent this violence immediately. If you come to know that there is a couple or there is a family where daughter is being beaten, first thing is cut that cycle. And many a times teachers come across these. Your students come and tell you in what misery they are living. So call the parents, speak to them. In India and everywhere in the world, family is like one iron curtain. Nobody can pierce that curtain. So it can happen by counseling centers where these girls who are behaving differently can be sent, or boys, they can be sent, and then they open up and then the therapy can begin. So many problems which law doesn't heal, or to take them to law, first step is therapy, conversation, counseling, and then we come to know. So Constitution talks about women's equality, and there are special legislations. Criminal law is there by which we can file a case, police complaint, and police complaint leading to a criminal case, and there are other provisions. As far as today's discussion is concerned, we are restricting it to prevention of sexual harassment against women at workplace. Now, why workplace? Large percentage of our daily lives, all of us who are working as students or teachers, we spend in our work. If workspace is not safe and it is part of, it is being affected by harassment, then our quality of life suffers. It's not good for our mental health, our wellness as such, and it's not good for our economic well-being. Justice Verma, who historically gave a judgment in Vishaka case, he said that hostility, what is hostility? Shatrutva. In the workplace, if someone is working against you or behaving against you, that could become the worst challenge for your livelihood. Nimge jeeviso hakkige adu virudha. So it is against your right to life, because you cannot survive or live unless you are working. And you cannot work if your workspace is not safe. So how do you make your workplace safe? Safety hege madodu. So this is the question that we are going to deal with the help of the law. So I gave you so many stories in the beginning. These stories pertain to this workplace becoming unsafe. Challenges to safety in the workplace comes from this kind of a behavior. And stereotype study we did to understand where is this behavior coming from. Those who behave like this are not respecting women. They are not looking at women as their equal partners in the success of the workplace, not giving dignity that they deserve. Every human being deserves dignity. In this room, there are different people who are ranging from principals to management to everybody. But all of us are human beings. We deserve to be treated with dignity. And if you do not treat your colleague or subordinate with dignity, and if you treat them with that stereotype in the mind that woman is there to be looked at as a sex object, then harassment begins. You understand? So that is why I gave you the story. I explained the stereotype. Those of you who thought beyond stereotype after some time, that machine, for example, in cleaning, machine in washing clothes, then man can also load the machine. Woman can also load the machine. That even the man can operate, woman can operate. So we neutralize the gender in terms of its connection to work. So there we give dignity to the work. The minute we neutralize this discrimination, denial, exploitation, the realization of justice happens. What is justice? Justice is that we say justice is rule of law. Justice is equality. That's another way of saying. Which means justice is that equilibrium. The equilibrium at home, equilibrium at workplace, equilibrium in public space gets disrupted. It gets disrupted when there is denial, when there is exploitation, when there is unequal treatment. So the minute you are interfering with this equilibrium by these behaviors, gender injustice happens. So you have to bring back the balance to gender justice by means of desisting such behavior, desisting stereotypes, challenging these stereotypes, and creating alternative models and approaches, giving remedy to those people who suffered. So we say prevent, protect, remedy. Prevent such harassment, protect those who are harassed from being harassed again, and give them proper compensation, give them a hearing, settle their problems, address their grievance, and then that is remedy. And then protect is give awareness in such a way, create mechanisms in such a way that it never recurs. So prevent, protect, and remedy. This is the framework that is there in POSH Act. POSH means Protection of Women Against Sexual Harassment, bracket at Workplace Act 2013. Let's go to the next slide. So now we understood discrimination, we understood women's rights, we understood the stereotype. So only one question I have is my biology my destiny? I am a woman, and being a woman, the way my mother lived, my grandmother lived, their strengths were so many there, but they never had access in the way I could have. Many of us have had that. Maybe 3 generations ago, 2 generations. Some of you may be fortunate. So, is my biology a destiny? Because I am born as a girl, are my opportunities limited? Is my access limited? No. That is what we have to accept. My biology is not my destiny. It's an opportunity for me. And I am going to make all those available opportunities, convert it into my advantage by developing that strength, that power, discovering myself. So how do I discover myself? What are the ways by which law is protecting me? That's what we have to see. Now the reality today, what Catherine McKinnon, one of the fiery feminists says, and I quote, women tend to be in low-ranking positions, dependent on the approval, very important, and goodwill of male superiors for hiring, retention, and advancement. So this kind of being at mercy adds more economic clout to male sexual demands. Now, where is Catherine McKinnon coming from? America. And first sexual harassment case was filed in the police department. Because when the girls were very new to the police department, like how in India also very recently women are entering military and police. So the training has to happen with male officers who are superiors. So when they are training, instead of training holding the weapon and firing a weapon and things like that, they would rather ask the woman to wear a short skirt and come and leer at them. Instead of teaching the technique, they would look at the woman and in a particular angle they would hold the girl, and all of this was happening. So they filed cases in US. That's our first sexual violence related case came from US, and the legislation came from US, then in UK. Because when women started participating, they were new. So when they are new, anything new is not greeted well in any system. And then they started greeting it with their old mindset. That's how the whole thing started. And another, in Sweden for the first time, sexual harassment was taken seriously in the entire Europe. You know why? Psychiatrist was constantly getting the report from a lady of headache. And this migraine was recurring migraine, terrible migraine. And then he was always concentrating on her physical symptoms, and doctors will always give you some kind of a pain reliever, etc. Then one day he attended on her by having a deeper conversation, and he realized she had a very harassing superior in the office. And then he noted down that, and he started counseling her. He started asking her to go off from the job for a few days. Her headache healed. So he published an article on how harassment is a mental health and occupational safety issue. So this is how for the first time harassment became an issue, and then the whole legal tort law. Tort law means compensation based approach started. Then we started the criminal law, which is punishment based approach. We have 2 approaches in law. So Catherine McKinnon's understanding of why women are harassed and why women face this and why men because they are in a superior position in organizations, they try to demand that sexual favor. That's why the word is unwelcome behavior and uncomfortable. What makes her feel uncomfortable? That means there is a demand, there is a pressure on the other side. And this woman is not willing to do it. You know, there is also the other side that we have to take our workplace as a very professional place, and we also have to resist it because that is not what you are expecting from your boss. You know, these things women don't realize in the beginning because they feel, as she says, they have to be in the favor of the boss to develop their career. Let's go to the next slide. So generally, we have spoken in this slide also about gender justice and gender injustice, which we explained already. Next slide. Now you understood that violence in terms of sex-based violence can take these forms: physical violence, verbal violence, calling you names, sometimes hate speech also about your ethnicity, about your appearance, psychological violence. Psychological violence can be giving silent treatment. You know, sometimes a couple don't talk at all for so many days. Or in the workplace also, your colleague ignores you, doesn't wish you, doesn't have that basic etiquette at the workplace. And then sexual violence, you know that, physically violating. Socio-economic violence, I told you, depriving opportunities. In workplace, it can be something like, what word you can use? In workplace, if they deny you increment, promotion, write a negative report about you for no reason. So we have two sides of the coin here. One is, just because a woman, they may not put her in the team. They may say that we don't need her, she's a woman. You know, these kind of statements we have heard even in army and other big groups. Second is, they may put her, but they may not give her the lead role. They may put her and they may say, you're a woman, so come only for 1 hour. You can do whatever you want, you know. So this is exclusion. So this is another way. The third way that they do is that woman being relegated to bringing a flower or bringing water, being hospitable, serving the guests. You know, that typical thing which you did at home, here also you are supposed to do. Once I was in some judges conference and I saw all women standing with one uniform, one color sari. This is in the district court and Supreme Court, High Court judges were there. Then I asked, so who are these flower girls, I asked. Then they said, they are all junior judges. I said, why the hell they are standing on the dais? That one lady is supposed to give a bouquet to the Supreme Court judge. Second one is supposed to give to the High Court judge. And third one is supposed to do this. And there was one lady clad in such floral sari and sitting next to me. She is the one who said, I refused, so I am sitting beside you. So this is the thing. Wherever you go, that exclusion and demarcation and not considering them, I mean, not a single woman judge on the dais. So this non-inclusion is not a healthy role model for younger girls who are there or younger lot. Even men will think the same. Boys also will continue the same behavior. So this is what we have to see. Next slide. So in law, now quickly we will go through the law. In law, what did we have? In 1992, all the world's countries signed one convention called Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. Actually, the convention was signed in 1979. All the countries became party to it. We had human rights, means all human beings have rights, expression, this, that, all fundamental right-related rights. In 1949, we signed. Then we made a convention. 1950s, we had the convention. Then eliminating racial discrimination happened in 1969. But eliminating discrimination against women happened in 1979. After 1979, there is a provision which says 30% of the countries have to sign the sign. It is called ratification. Do you know that America never ratified this convention? Advanced country. So how can you expect women of the world to be treated equally? So India ratified in 1993. So 1995 Beijing conference brought out certain documents against violence, and it also said that under this convention there is a provision. The provision talks about two important things where India said, I am not governed by that. One thing is cultural stereotype elimination. I spoke to you about stereotype, which means child marriage has to be eliminated, which means for women marriage should be option, not a compulsion. So India was not willing to do that. Second was mandatory registration of marriages. India has passed a reservation against that. So this shows that even we as a nation, women of this nation, we need to be very proactive. Anyway, that was the convention. So we had in Labor Convention, which is separate organization under United Nations, it also talks about equality and non-discrimination. Means men and women should be paid same wages, not one in grain and one in cash. And one works for 6 hours, other works for 8 hours. Similar amount of money should be paid. And minimum wages and all these legislations came in the labor law. And then we had Tribal People's Convention. So Tribal and Indigenous People's Convention also spoke about protecting the tribal and indigenous women. But the most important development came with this one case, Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan. Who is Vishaka? Vishaka is a non-governmental organization which filed this case. Why did this file the case? You all know that we had a pratha called sati. Bollywood is sometimes now, it is bringing back that memory with that Padmavat and all these movies. So women used to commit sati when there was invasion. But there was a modern sati of Roop Kanwar which was reported in somewhere in 1995. So there were women activists who were appointed by the government, preraks, who used to go to village and spread the awareness not to continue sati, etc. So there was one lady called Bhavri Devi who used to do this in door to door, and she was gang raped by a group of men. So those group of men were brought before the court, and there was a punishment. You know, for rape we have life imprisonment and other kind of punishment. If it is a child now, there are severe punishment. But in this case what happened was the gang of men was led by one man. His uncle was also a rapist. His father was also a rapist. So there was a whole family which was involved in raping Bhavri Devi. So the judge said that it is impossible to believe that 70-year-old man can rape. It is impossible to believe that a father and son can rape together. It's beyond, it is very doubtful that an uncle and nephew can rape a same woman together. So court expressed its doubt and lowered their punishment. So the punishment was there, but it was very small amount of punishment. So there was appeal against this in Supreme Court, but still Supreme Court couldn't do much because the evidences and the lower court judgment it upheld. So this organization took up the case. It went on the other side, on parallel to the Supreme Court, saying India is signatory to these conventions, international conventions. Under these conventions, if anybody's right is violated because state was negligent, this lady, Bhavri Devi, was appointed by the state, so she is an employee of the state. Although she was appointed as a prerak on a monthly payment for 1 or 2 years, contract employee, still she is an employee. And the whole village where she was doing the campaign is her workplace. See, workplace need not be like Alva's institution. It can be a wider context. It need not be someone like you who is on a permanent job. It can be even a short-term employee. And then it also said that state's failure, here the government has failed to protect this lady, therefore state should pay compensation. Justice Verma, the magnanimous judge India has ever seen, he developed the guidelines in this judgment. And he defined how employer idea has to be broadly viewed. He defined how harassment idea has to be broadly viewed. And what should be the remedy in case this happens. He says that whatever is there in criminal law, like rape and other provisions, they can be applied. In addition to that, the employer has to organize a compensation. If the employee is able to pay that compensation, employee will pay. Otherwise, the organization has to take care. So this is how the famous Vishaka guideline for the first time in 1997 put this in action. But then I was in South Canara in 1998 and I was working in Manipal, and under the very nose of this law, in many educational institutions, teachers, staff used to misbehave with kids. And nothing could be done because it was a court case. Based on this court case, whoever went to the court, they got a remedy. Like that Chopra case is about MD of a company misbehaving with the PA. And then telling her that if you don't give in, I'll deprive you of promotion. So she went to the court, she got the remedy. But what about all these other people? So there was a lady in Pune, Medha Lele, she filed a case in Supreme Court saying that Vishaka guidelines are only in the book, they are paper tiger, they are not being implemented. So she filed the case and Supreme Court gave a direction to the government. So in 2013, we got the POSH Act. That's how the legislation came about in 2013, the last tile. The sexual harassment of women at workplace, prevention, prohibition, and redressal. So we call it the POSH Act, P-O-S-H. Okay. Now let's go to the next slide. Now I'll give you the overview of the legislation. What does this law say? It's a very interesting piece of every legislation begins with the name, and then it tells the purpose of the legislation. What is the purpose? One is to protect, second is to prevent, third is to redress those who have filed a complaint. Then, how do you define? What all definitions? One is sexual harassment definition is there. Who is an aggrieved woman? It is there. And then, which is the workplace? It's not just government. Even private workplace is involved. Any other workplace. Suppose your bus driver misbehaves with you. It is governed. Suppose there is a contractor who is visiting. I had very interesting cases. There was a contractor, there was a girl who had come to our college in our legal aid cell. She was a 7-year-old girl. She was going from her home in the bus, and it was a school bus, and she would report home. One day, her elder sister, who was doing engineering, had come home, and this girl and that girl were watching something on the television, and the man makes advances to the woman in that television picture, and this girl says that this is what conductor mama does to me. So the elder sister immediately gets alerted. She takes this girl, goes to the police station, files a complaint, and then we have mechanism through which children are spoken to under the law. And then they came to know that this conductor was constantly raping her. He was leaving all children, and the bus will do rounds, and then he will misbehave with her, and then he will leave her in the house. This was happening for almost 1 year. So this girl, the complaint was entertained, and the school disowned the girl. School said that this girl is crazy, she must be making up the story. This is what society does. And then the other parents stopped they gerawed the school, so they had to see that the conductor was arrested by the police. Now, after the conductor was arrested, the girl was not taken back in the school. So we took suo motu cognizance of the case from the newspaper article, brought her to the college, and then we rendered all kind of support to the girl, and then we took it to we also assisted her in the court. Now, one important thing is the girl was so traumatized that she would every day go to the court and she will draw these two eyes behind the glasses. So we took her, do you know where we took her for counseling? Trauma center of military hospital, because no other counselor could connect to her. See the trauma that happens to the children. So slowly those two-eyed pictures, we would bring her to the college, we would take her for picnic, so many things. We kept complete anonymity of this activity. And then she recovered. Now she draws a picture of a little girl wearing a band and arguing the case, She wants to be a lawyer. So the whole positive transformation could happen after 20 sessions of trauma counseling. Why I am giving this example is to understand that workplace continues to the transport. Like we had the infamous case of, in Bangalore also, Wipgyor, Infosys. See, they hire these outside transport companies, and these girls are picked up in the night for the night shift, and then they're dropped. I had a secretary who used to work like that. She told me that she had to be dropped and her husband will be in the house, and when she's climbing stairs, she was always scared because the man would, in the taxi, she would be alone because other girls were dropped. She was the last to be dropped. So she used to say that it was always scary. Now, fortunately, with technology, they can track, I'm talking of 2010, 2011. So it continues to the transport. Another example is, we have a friend who was the vice chancellor of all women's university. First term, she did extremely well. During her second term, one girl went missing. It's all women's university. And then they came to know that this girl was found in the paddy field, completely dressless, etc. And they were surprised how this girl could be taken there, because all girls were taken in the bus and they were supposed to go to cafes at the weekend. Then they'll be picked up. And nobody does head count. You always trust that they are adults. Now, in all women's system, how did a man come? How did a man become friendly? You will be surprised. The person who was supplying the food supply, the grain supply, he used to come in a matador van with a team to carry those gunny bags, put them in the storage. They befriended these girls. And when they would go for coffee, there they would come and talk. And they befriended her, and then this happened. And thereafter, the police nabbed. My friend underwent a harrowing time for no fault of hers as the vice chancellor. And then they nabbed the 5 boys. They were from the rich farming family, because they're also like our Dakshin Kannada. They sold their land, they made money, and that quick money was there. So they could buy anything for gifts and things like that. So they proposed that if you withdraw the case, we'll give you 50 lakhs. And she withdrew the case. See, this is where the whole harassment thing takes a different shape. But I am giving this example to tell you that under this legislation and under general criminal law also, it is not just restricted to stagnant workplace, static workplace. It is in a dynamic way that we interpret this provision. And then we have another case where our students go as interns, and as interns, if they face harassment, it's governed by that. No, we are not liable, but that child who is interning, if they alert us, then we can alert the authorities. We can also write to those people. Like we have had cases of Supreme Court retired judges harassing children, and then there has been a big case, and after that Supreme Court drafted guidelines. We have had cases of hotel management interns. It may happen to hospital interns also. We had the Car Medical School case where she was a PG student in overnight, how she was harassed. So harassment is not just, don't only imagine extremes of Nirbhaya or Car Medical College. It can happen even in a smaller way also. So in the beginning itself, if you're taking care that your workplace is safe, safety, as you have emphasized in your topic, your workplace is safe, then you don't have to worry. How many places where it is not well lit do we have cameras? It's very important to have CCTV cameras in the whole campus. First, have we constituted an ICC, Internal Complaints Committee? Every organization which has more than 10 women employees should have an internal complaints committee under this legislation. University has at university level, departments have at departmental level, institutions can have at institutional level. Whether we have, you ask this question, this is the biggest savior for any organization. So sexual harassment, I gave you all those stories in the beginning. What did they have? Unwelcome behavior or act, by direct or implication, promise or threat, interference. Remember that case, correcting the dupatta, interference, or it can be hostility, it can be humiliation. All these are coming within harassment. It is not just rape or physical violence alone. Any mental violence of this kind or interference. So Verma uses the word hostility, any kind of discomfort that a woman faces so that she doesn't feel like coming back to work. That is qualifying as harassment. And then the aggrieved woman, I told you, casual employee is also included within that. We used to have issues of security people. Security is always outsourced. Sweepers are outsourced in big cities. So what if my permanent employee misbehaves with her? If my permanent employee misbehaves with her, permanent employee misbehaves with the sense of impunity, that I am the permanent employee, you are the casual employee. At that level, they have this conversation. So many times when they see a woman head, like having Dr. Grishma here, something like that, they feel more comfortable to come up to you and talk to you. Believe them. Don't deny. Don't ever give them a hearing, and then you ask this other person also. We say principle of natural justice. That's why ICC has to be constituted. ICC or Internal Complaints Committee always is given the status of civil court under this law. It is equivalent to Munsif's court. Mind you, it may not have any lawyer or anyone, but law says that it is equivalent to Munsif's court. You know why? Because it is given a procedure which is exactly like the court. You take a complaint, you ask the other party for the explanation, then you conduct an inquiry, conduct the evidences, and then you draw a conclusion, then you give a verdict about how to remedy the situation, whether the act has occurred, if it has occurred, what kind of evidences are there, which witness statement, and what is your final conclusion. Then you give it to the HR department, or if you're in your institution, if HR department is not there, then personnel administration department, then the head of the organization, who will implement it, who will implement in 2-3 ways. One is from the salary they can cut and give the compensation for psychiatric visits and medical and other things. Second is they can prevent this employee from engaging in it by transferring him. Third is, it can go to the extent of you can't immediately remove anyone from work. As per labor laws, you can suspend, you can transfer, and then eventually if it repeats, you can remove. But main thing here is to protect the woman. It is her focused. It's not about how harsh you are with the other person. Courts have nicely balanced these things. I'll quickly tell you. So the duties of the employer here is to see that your workplace is safe and you provide assistance to the lady who is wanting to complain by making her to draft the complaint, by helping her to gather witnesses. You don't have to involve directly, but you have that process set in your organization. Every employer with more than 10 women employees should constitute an internal complaints committee. And the composition of the committee is also told that in that committee, we should have senior most women to preside over among the employees. And at least 50% of the members should be women. And we can have about 5 to 10 members, depending on the size of the organization. And what we do with the organization like Alva's, like Symbiosis also has 44 constituents. So we have one committee at the university level and we have a cell at the institute level. So after the cell concludes in the complaint, we take it to the university level committee and then we give the final verdict. So first, if the cell is looking at the preliminary complaint, how should it look at? As per the law, it should look at evidences it has to gather, and then it has to do the preliminary inquiry, and if it has found some evidence, it should go to the highest committee. I'll tell you my experience. One was about a girl being constantly harassed by a boy by WhatsApp messages, lewd messages, and this girl comes and complains. They were friends before, and then how jittery in his young age group this happens. And then she complained. And then when we inquired, it had gone wrong. Then we asked the girl, what do you want? Do you want him to be punished or do you want... This is called reconciliation stage. It is provided for in the legislation. She said, what I want is him not indulging further. He should not ever communicate to me. But if he does it again, I should have a safety net. So we took an undertaking. And we warned the boy. We brought the parents also. Because parents are the ones who are paying the fee. Your age group may say that I'm independent, I'm young, but fee is being paid by them. So as long as they pay the fee, we have to hold them also to be accountable. So this is how we have, and then we tell that if you don't agree to this and if you repeat, it will be escalated to the university committee, which will be the end of your career. Because it will take 2 years, it can go to the court of law, it can take an ugly turn. It's a dangerous law. So be very careful with that law. That's what we advise the children. We had case of an employee in our organization who used to, it was all women, it is all women group and there are 2-3 male employees. And this one particular employee, he is in his 50s and he had a habit of, if any lady employee wore a deep neck blouse, he would come from behind and he would say, you look very nice, touching. And then the lady would give that giggle. She would feel that thrill and other women also laugh. But there was one woman for their misfortune who was working as my secretary. She once watched it at the lunch place. She came and told me, what they're doing is wrong. I'm reporting to you. This is uncomfortable for me to watch. And then I called this gentleman. I said, do you do this? He said, I say, majak. Then I got the Marathi version of this legislation. I made him read. Samajh mein aaya? He said, yes. Kya ho sakta hai aapka? He said, they're dangerous hai. What you're doing, you stop, I said. And I said, henceforth, if you do again, I will be the worst person for you. And then I sent him to counseling. After that, there is no complaint. Then I came to know that this gentleman was earlier in some organization. They had removed him from the job because he had gone to a film theater to watch a movie and there was a lady sitting beside him. He didn't know that there was her husband was seated behind. He started misbehaving with her and husband caught glimpse of him and got him out and thrashed him in public in the middle of the road. So these urges, these behaviors continue because even if he was thrashed after a few years, he has forgotten and he's trying again. So after that, he continued in our organization for 5 years. He left after his son finished his engineering and I handled it in such a way that he should be there because if I let him go, he will go and repeat the same thing. You are having unknown potential victims. It is better, these women are aware, So I made those women also to understand that this is not the kind of workplace we are looking at. It should be an ecosystem of respect, mutual respect and productivity. It can make my former secretary can become unproductive because for her it is very difficult to accept. So this is how we have to handle the situation. Law allows that. I am not doing any undue favor to that man. I am not being unfair. Do you think I was unfair to the women? No. Because finally, it is a behavior that we need to change. We should not hate the individual. It is the behavior that we need to tackle. And many people are not aware because they are in some other time zone. In their time, they are frozen. And they don't realize that young girls are very aware and they're very sensitive and what they're doing is wrong. And these girls have a lot of identity and pride in their dignity. So that needs to be respected. Let's go to the next slide. So, what is sexual harassment here? You understood physical contact or any unwelcome physical contact. You know, most of us have witnessed that in our families and all, especially in Dakshin Kannada, we are very touchy. Our culture is very touchy. As such, Indian culture is very touchy. And sometimes, you know, some women may not like it. Maybe they have been through a trauma or they were brought up in a family where very strict conditions. Like my father used to say, in privacy, even the father-daughter should not be together. This was the kind of upbringing we had. That don't allow anybody to touch you. Even your father shouldn't touch you in privacy when you're alone. That is the thing, you know. So this can become, even if your heart is pure, intention is pure, because the word is unwelcome. If the other person is uncomfortable. So I remember once I was traveling in Ireland and somebody was beside me and there was some kind of irritation caused by the belt of the seat, and the gentleman who was beside me said, "Can I help you?" He is taking my permission even to disallow that or handle that discomfort. And I was thinking, even to touch that, if I were him, I would have just removed it and then I would have said, "Oh, I didn't like watching you getting uncomfortable." But even to help you, they will take your permission. So this kind of thing we have to cultivate now. We can't take any woman or any girl for granted between boys and girls also. You always see the public display of affection between boys and girls at that young age. And when it goes sour, you never know to what extreme it can go. So it is better we mutually respect our bodies and our body spaces. So here they are telling physical contact, demand or request for sexual favor, making sexually colored remarks, showing pornography, any other unwelcome physical or other kind of contact. Next slide. Now, this you understood now. It can be dwelling house, private workplace, a variety of places. Next slide. And then internal complaints committee, chairperson should be the senior most woman employee. We can have two kinds. One is committee at the university level or management level, and then cells in each institute which has more than, because students are also included. So anywhere where there are more than 50 students, let's have a committee, a cell. And then minimum 2 members and 1 member, either law qualified or psychology qualified NGO person. And then 2 are employees themselves. So this is how it is done. Let's go to the next slide. So the next slide is complaint has to be done within 3 months of the occurrence of the act. You can't complain forever. In criminal law, there is no limitation. Police complaint you can do any time, but the police will ask you, why did you delay? And you have to give justification. Very few times police are convinced. Sometimes they say, "Itna der se aaya to who will defend it in the charge sheet," etc. You know. So it is always they say that law doesn't help the one who sleeps. Vigilant person only is helped by the law. So you can take assistance. ICC should help the person to file the complaint. And if the employer himself, if the head of the organization himself or herself is doing, then himself, this law doesn't have gender neutrality. Right now it is only for women. So then it can go to the local complaints committee, which is administered by the DC, district commissioner. And then conciliation can happen. I told you, in the beginning, you don't have to do inquiry. You can even make both of them talk or just send them apart and then find the facts in the organization and then arrange for proper remedy. Then you do the inquiry. Inquiry is just like civil court. You have to take all the documentation and evidences, prepare proper written report, and then compensation. When you are asking the person, see, sometimes cases of attendants harassing their woman superior. What kind of salary do they have? Suppose there is a 10,000, 1 lakh rupee compensation. His salary take home pay is 25,000. He better mind his limitation, but he does this wrongful act. So what they do is they take the compensation in installment in such cases. So that is also allowed under the legislation. And then if somebody is unhappy with the decision, which is usually, we have had many cases where cases have gone from women to the higher court. Straight away you have to go to the high court, no other court, because this court has the power of a munsif's court. The ICC has the power of a munsif's court. So we had the first case reported in Mumbai, Vidya Akhave case, where she was harassed and the punishment given was transferring the man. She was unhappy. She said that there is a small punishment given. This punishment is disproportionate. The High Court said that we are not going into the inquiry process. As long as they have given the notice, they have taken both sides this one. We are only going to look into the procedure that is followed. They have followed the process. Therefore, their decision is correct. They upheld. They didn't look into the merit of the case. So, mind you, ICC is very, very important. Let's go to the next slide. So, who can complain? I told you already. Even the person aggrieved can complain. If they are disabled, then their guardian can complain. If they have, sometimes, they in anath ashrams and all, if they write a letter, if someone writes a letter, then National Women's Commission, State Women's Commission has written the complaint. So this is how, with the written consent of the person, it can be complained. If they are dead, then their legal heir can complain. The child or the parent, if the lady dies, And then in case of mental incapacity, the custodian can complain, or anybody who is having the knowledge of the incident. How many of us in India are having that kind of Samaritanism? So in this little girl's case, NGOs came to the rescue. So many a times NGOs have played a key role. Next slide, please. And then the inquiry process. Receive the complaint, plan very carefully, do the interview, then you, after doing the interview, you always do the reasoning, then you find the fact, and then you make the recommendation, then you write the report. So creating a timeline. So all this I'm going to leave with you. So definitely top management can take it into action. Go to the next slide. So timelines are very important. You can't forever drag this case. There is a very strict timeline. Within 3 months you have to file the complaint. Within 7 days the notice to the opposite side has to go to the respondent. And within 90 days inquiry should complete. And within 10 days the report should be submitted. So the ICC has to act very fast as per the law, and within 60 days the recommendation has to be implemented by the HR or the management. So it's all time bound. Go to the next slide, please. So this is Vidya Akhave case, and court refused to interfere with the decision of the organization. Let's go ahead. So go ahead. These are all technical legal things. For law students it is very important. For general public this is good enough. So we have the handbook from which I took those instances. It is available online. Let's go to the next slide. So one of the major challenges is distinction between harassment and sexual harassment. And this is the first challenge. We are being harassed, we are being ridiculed, we are being yelled at, and names are called. But there is no sexually implicit sentence. Or secondly, we are being harassed as male and female, or sometimes men are also harassed by their bosses, but there is no sexual connotation to it. Or there is harassment, but there is sexual connotation mixed with the normal connotation. So these are the challenges in implementing the act, because the act says sexually colored remarks and unwelcome. What makes you uncomfortable? Therefore, now the government is mulling over the whole harassment situation, but then we can't change the law. This law is meant for those who are entering into the workforce. In India, still women in the workforce is very small percentage. So if we are more concerned about that harassment thing and ignore this law, it may not do real justice. Therefore, what do we do if there is harassment? If there is harassment, then HR has to take note of it under misconduct provision of the labor law, and they can always handle that. So we don't have to forget this law for the sake of generic harassment. Next slide. So this is the point that I told you. Next slide, please. So in all these complaints, we have to carefully sift the content, and then we have to see if it is coming under POSH or it comes under the generic misconduct provision of the organization. Next slide. Another is gender neutral. Again, the court said that look at the social context. Even if it is a woman who is complaining and there is a clear evidence of sexual harassment, what if the other person who is involved is so dangerous that bringing the police to the case will be more important or more warranted? Then you simultaneously create a protection. That's why it is said social context of the case has to be viewed. We had these cases where harasser was also having protection under SC/ST legislation. So in military accounts department, we had this experience. So they said that they had to handle it very sensitively by transferring the person, but still the behavior hasn't changed. So one reason is they never sent that person to counseling. They said that counseling won't work. You can't judge like that. Sometimes, people can change. Next slide. So here, very interesting case. Soon after Vishaka decision in Sikkim, a bank officer was abusing his lady attendant, and the attendant filed a police case. Police refused to take the case. Then she goes to the court. Then it goes to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said that the guidelines have to be adopted by the bank. Bank did not have an ICC. So it said that the bank needs to be punished for that. 50,000 rupees fine if you don't create ICC within 6 months of the legislation. And then next slide. This is also another interesting case. This is the case, looks like Mukesh, but what is this case? Nirbhaya case. So in this case, it was very clear that harassment in the transport, not at the workplace it was personal transport which they had taken. So here also they widened the idea of rape. Earlier rape was taken medically in a different way, and now it is taken in a more wider way, which also, for example, in case of juvenile rapes, it's very difficult to establish in the old sense of rape. That's why this 2013, again, Verma sir's committee made this decision. Let's go to the next slide. So Anita Suresh case is also very similar to Vidya Kave case in Employment State Insurance Corporation, and finally they said that you can't judge the decision of the ICC, you always judge the process of the ICC. Yeah, let's go to the next slide. Next slide, please. Now, one important point I want to make, online sexual harassment. This is something that all of us have to be mindful of, and this has come in the post-COVID era with the online working. And I'll show you one video, then it will be clear to you that even in this, the documentation has to be kept, all WhatsApp messages, video clippings, and then you can file complaint to your employer as through the ICC, as we have done in other cases. And it can also be reported to the police, because under Information Technology Act, cyber police can take cognizance of such online harassment. Next slide. So there are different forms that during working hours they may say, oh, your child is interfering. So this kind of, creating guilt, insults, sending messages. I'll show you one video. So this is about the way in which it happens. So the remedy is following the IT Act with the police, or in your ICC making a complaint. Next slide. So evidences are very important, I told you. Next slide, please. Yeah, done. All of that is done. Now, last slide. This is Justice Chandrachud saying that hyper-technicality is a feminist judge. Hyper-technicality cannot be the basis to deny. So judges have to take a broad view. Because here was a case of border security force male constable being ill-treated by his superior. So should it be only a woman who is ill-treated? So Justice Chandrachud said in such cases, we have to be little liberal and we have to see that he is punished. So here in Pune also we had a very famous case of a big company, famous German company, and our own lawyer went and he handled the case. Similarly, in Kerala, when there is a labor dispute and they allege sexual harassment, then a normal labor dispute cannot be taken as POSH case. You have to separately file it under ICC and follow the process. That's what the High Court said. Now here, one important case is about National Sports Council. You all know that, the whole Jantar Mantar Dharna and all of that, because everybody thought that sports is a very professional activity, but we had so many bad cases. Even now it is being reported. So we have to be very careful, very, very careful. The more institutions we create, more innovative education we create, we have to be very mindful how the devil comes in through the back door. Next slide. So now last point I would like to say about your title, persistent challenges. What are the persistent challenges? One of the persistent challenges is the discourse, the way we talk, we converse, connect as men and women. There is also subtle sexism, a pretty, so-called pretty woman concept, or the so-called docile woman concept versus the aggressive woman. So among women also, good woman, bad woman, this is called subtle sexism. For example, indirectly not promoting someone who has suddenly put on weight. So Deborah Road, this American lawyer, has written extensively about it. She calls it as subtle sexism. When it comes to promotion, preferring a woman who never talks a word, never differs with you, but avoiding a woman who is argumentative because she doesn't fit into the stereotype. Stereotype of a woman, as Aristotle said, silence is woman's glory. So she talks about this subtle sexism. This is a very innovative scientific concept. So denying woman any advantage, giving disadvantage, they say that this woman can't be my public face for my university because she looks very fat. It gives an unhealthy sign of this university. She doesn't have a Barbie doll kind of look. Indirectly, you're saying. So that is subtle sexism. So this also can be challenged, as hostility to women. Second is check the mechanism. Make people speak openly. There's a very interesting study, Carol Gilligan and this lady, Catherine McKinnon-Gilligan dialogue. Gilligan says that women have a certain way of behaving. So she says if girls are playing, they always play with big group and they like to play group games. If boys are playing, they tend to play individual games or they try to assert individual authority. So Gilligan says that we have to build on these strengths of women in democracies, in participation. But Catherine McKinnon says it's not that boys are this or girls are this. It is because patriarchy has its leg on her throat. Therefore, even if she is playing group games, what is the guarantee she represents real women interests? So coming back to this one, in our organization, we have to have more and more participatory culture of openness, culture of talking. And then hierarchy in the organization, putting women in front is very important, and having every committee with women's representation. We are, however small is our percentage, have a substantial number of women in your committees, and stereotypes of this work for men, this work for women. There was a time when accountants were never men. Today all CA exams are cracked by girls at the age of 21. So mathematics scientifically is a woman's subject. I mean, it's supposed to be, psychological analysts always say in maths women are supposed to be very good. But how many women are in the mathematical positions? Till Marie Curie came, people even thought science was out of bounds for women. So this is one. And then biases against women have to be very carefully watched and eliminated in the organization, and training. And also, the status of marital status being important. In interviews, asking, so first asking, how old are you, this, that, and tell us about your journey. And then, what about your family plan? I mean, is that important for a girl? And they'll say, so in our women's law firms and all, this has become a big issue, that asking about what is your family plan. It's a very private choice of a woman. If she's coming into the job, she'll manage it. So why ask her and then make biases? There is a bias in our law firms also. There is a study which is showing that girls always make a smallest excuse to stay away from work. This is a stereotype against girls. So in your management, in your team, if such opinions are there, try to tackle it. That's how you create a very gender-friendly organization. And then in the organization, if there is an authoritarian style, that my word is the law, and if there is a complaint and you say that this woman must be dramatizing, she's a drama queen, that's why she's making a complaint. So never do this. Always don't avoid intervention. Try to find out. Make it very friendly. And then once you have this organization with many women, if you see women being absent, women calling ill very repeatedly, or repeating this kind of psychosomatic illness, frequent resignations, it's a pathology. So pay attention to that and search for the records and see the pattern and be alert. So women having low job satisfaction, women's productivity being low, try to incorporate them into the mainstream. This is the way in which you can always tackle this challenge that you're talking about. And then one important point that you have to see, if there is one suit against your organization, criminal case or civil case, it will cost you reputation, it will cost you money also, because now the law is very strict. And in Infosys, there was this guy who is a genius in finance. They had to fire him because an American lady filed a case against him. $3 million compensation they had to give. And then he goes to Global Bank after leaving Infosys. Again, he repeats the same behavior. So doing the character background check and then being alert. I am not saying don't employ because it is fundamental right, but be careful. So this is what I would say, this is how we can act against persistent challenges. Now that's all. So let's go to the videos. I think you have, I just want your responses, only 2 minutes videos. I think we'll end there. If you have any questions, you can ask. We have taken very long. Yeah.
Welcome to the course on prevention of sexual harassment. Completing this course.
Welcome to Workplace Harassment Prevention Training for Employees. Form is unacceptable in the workplace. In this training,
तेरी अकड़ की रस्सी जल जाए.
It's a quick video. What does it show? Boys are scared. And it can go to that extreme. That's why we have to manage the man-woman relationship in a very healthy way, in a democratic way. So frequent meetings, conversations, and having ICC and displaying what is sexual harassment, the provisions of the law in the, just like how you do anti-ragging, it's very important. Okay, let's go to the next.
Welcome to the course on prevention of...
The same repeat agide, bit bidi. One more small video I'll show you, that's all.
Before we end this meeting, I would like to say one thing. पैंडेमिक है, जान बचाओ और अपनी जॉब भी. और जॉब बचाने के लिए बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी. एक्स्ट्रा काम करना पड़ेगा, एक्स्ट्रा टाइम देना पड़ेगा हर दिन. नहीं तो सबकी जॉब गई समझो. Do I make myself clear? Come on, let's get back to work. प्राची, तुम जरा रुकना, तुमसे कुछ जरूरी बात करनी है. Yes, bye. क्या बात है प्राची? तुम मेरे मैसेजेस का जवाब क्यों नहीं दे रही हो?
So actually I was not well.
जॉब बचानी है ना? तो कुछ एक्स्ट्रा करना होगा. समझ रहे हो ना मेरी बात?
Hey guys.
Hi. Hi Tanya. What are you doing? We just got done with the meeting.
Is it? तुमने मीटिंग में कहा ना कि एक्स्ट्रा मेहनत करनी होगी, एक्स्ट्रा काम करना होगा, तो मुझे लगा कि सीनियर मैनेजमेंट को शुरुआत करनी चाहिए. प्राची, क्या कह रहे थे बॉस?
मैम सो फिर से वो पर्सनल मैसेजेस की बात कर रहे थे.
ठीक है, पढ़े मैंने तुम्हारे पर्सनल मैसेजेस. तुम्हें पता है ना जॉब किसी की भी जा सकती है.
No, no, no. You're getting this wrong.
We need to
This
talk.
is a misunderstanding.
We need to talk. Prachi, are you fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure?
Yes.
Don't worry. We'll take care of it. Okay? Take care of yourself.
That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for an interesting session. Now, if anyone has any question, I'm sure that madam will be pleased to answer them. Audience, over to you to raise the questions.
A very commendable one, ma'am. All throughout, you gently handled the gender issues. Okay, ma'am, my question is, you did mention about the best practice in South Canada, where daughters after marriage also still they come and, they can stay as long as they want in the, yes. Is this a reflection of Aliya Kattu?
Yeah. I told you that here we didn't have much of deaths during dowry harassment cases, especially in the wake of mid-90s and 2000. Now dowry harassment cases have come down, but family violence has increased. So in South Canada, it didn't happen because of this, Udupi and South Canada, because the girls feel they have a right to come back to their parents. But not in all communities. It's only in Shetty, Billava, Mugavira, we have this Aliya Kattu. And when the girl comes back also, the parents will stand by them. Whereas in other communities, if the parents are sensitive to gender, they allow the girls to come back. But I have seen in Bunds also, I have personally fought a case in the close family. Both girls were married to the same family. First girl's case also, the father-in-law misbehaved and the girl comes back to her parents. And parents said that if you come back, then who will I marry your younger sisters off to? Because the mother was a widow. She had no father. So reluctantly she goes back to that house. And this was 90s. And recently that woman was accused of a huge crime. So once you are broken, if you are not reintegrated by means of intervention, affection and safety net, and you're pushed back to that, you crack as an individual. Whereas the second daughter-in-law, when she came home, she was taken back to the family and she was embraced and they fought the case in the court. She lived a normal life. She may not have the money that family has, but she has dignity. So often the choices we make also when there is domestic violence, it can be risky choice, but then you live as a full individual or you get disintegrated. The girl who compromised, she got, I don't want to mention more, then you will get a clue, but totally disintegrated.
But still, when it comes to the property division also, I see that they are getting double the portion.
Actually, Aliya Santana has equal share to the male and female, and now with the Hindu Succession Act coming in 1955, even the Mandepalu concept has come about. So people may not follow Aliya Santana. They may follow Aliya Santana in tradition in terms of girls' right to return and all, but in actual sharing, they may follow the modern law by going to the court or mutual settlement. It's all case to case different. But I know cases where even if the law is not supporting, culture is not supporting, by sheer fact of being a man and their access to market, their access to external life, they have denied the opportunity to women. I know many cases.
Yes, this has happened in our family also, ma'am. It has gone up to the third generation also. Their mothers, their grandsons, they got double the portion side.
Yeah, it depends on each family. Case to case basis, we say in law. Because every family's circumstance, its value, the way they respect their women. I tell you, Maharashtra, you all know, it's a patrilineal. Maharashtra, Marathas, Brahmins, everyone follows male line of lineage. But the way they are scared of women, the way they respect women, you know why? Somehow, because of the saints, because of the war background they had, and Chhatrapati Shivaji reinforcing the value of woman in his life. Do you know the stories of Chhatrapati Shivaji? His mother was his first guru because his father was a warrior. So he was always in the war field and he loses his father at a very early age by the stealth of the invaders. So his mother looks after him. But she trains him in warcraft also. And she takes care of the land. She helps him build the wada, the community, and then the army. And he was called the mountain rat because he was very good in scaling mountains and planning attacks. Chhatrapati Shivaji, when he took over the Maratha Empire, there was a queen from Belawadi who was taken as who was arrested and taken by his uncle, again by stealth. And they had ransacked her empire, killed her husband, and they brought her to the king. And when the king, Chhatrapati, makes them open the palanquin, he sees a lady there and he gorges out the eye of his own uncle. He orders gorging out the eye of the own uncle. He said, how could you view a woman in that kind of way? So maybe that historical scare, Pune is the safest place for women. At 2 o'clock in the night also women are all on the street. And then Ahmedabad. There are surveys of Outlook India and others. How could this happen? It can't happen just by having Aliya Santana. It happens by respect for women as a value and trust in the faith in the power of women. Because in Maharashtra they believe that if a woman curses, they can never come up in life. That's why they never want. The minute you raise the voice, they all go gup-shup because they feel that if a woman shouts at them, that is the end of their life. And they're so proud of their daughters-in-law studying, their wife being an achiever. They're smart men, I feel, who know that what is working should work. Which is
more than the hatredness, I've seen the affection that has led
correct,
to this.
correct. And in the public place also, auto wallahs and all, they are so scared. When women come in front of them, they become straight. I was also told in Bombay and all, women go in groups. And they go in groups and they handle these men if they try to act bad, you know. So there is that historically, that power of Sangatana, which is there. Political literacy among women. They remain very subtle, but they run the show. And you won't even know. So in warrior clan, which is like Shettis here also, are warrior clan. Warrior clan is an achieving clan because the woman always brings up the male progeny. There is a study by Adler or someone on achieving society in the 1960s. So it explains why boys who are brought up by women achieve because their other side of the personality is cultivated well. Shivaji would never see another woman as a free woman. He would see her as someone to be protected and he jumps into that duty. There are so many historical annals which talk about Shivaji's respect for women. Something similar comes in Akbar the Great's life also. So it all depends on how your power, your philosophy, your saints have reinstated that philosophy historically. For us, we have been the land of invasion. So somewhere we lost it. Actually, if you see in tradition, nothing begins without a woman. Even the Hegdeship or even the Gadi and all these traditions we have, the sister has to be there. Without the sister, without the mother, no one can lead that. Without the wife, he can't continue. The wife dies, means the person loses the position. They have to. That's why they end up remarrying, even if there are complications. So, women's importance is there in our culture, but in practice with modernization, we have gone little pervert, I feel. Whereas men who really value, they make sacrifice and they see that their sisters are with them. Earlier also in our tradition, man would marry to his wife's family. Na? In our tradition, in matrilineal tradition, man is always attached to his wife's family, but he makes his sacrifice for his own family. His sister's children are his progeny, not his own children. Those children belong to her family. So this is how our tradition was. But today it is all changed, and men have become more and more focused on their wife and children because of the changed cultural landscape. But I think if the deeper respect of treating everyone equally was there, this wouldn't happen. That's how I would answer your question. Thank you. There was someone there at the end in the last. Vivek. So I say that he's a feminist man because his mom was very active coming from Mumbai. Yeah?
Ma'am, thank you for your session. And
Thank you, sir.
The question was related to a recent incident which happened in Kerala regarding one woman had put up a video on a man and he committed suicide.
Yeah.
And we heard about it. Somewhere down the line, if I was watching the video properly, I felt somewhere down the line the man was at fault. But just because he committed suicide, still the whole thing was bombarded on the woman's face. Why am I putting this question? This question is in angle towards very rarely we come across a girl or a woman putting across any kind of sexual harassment case towards their colleague or anybody. Very rarely. After it completely bombards, then it comes to us.
Correct.
So this is a case of concern because if, she was completely fragged. The girl was completely told that it is her fault, this man committed suicide. I'm not getting into anything. So all of you take it very with a chill pill when you listen to this question also. Because what I noticed was still the man was at fault. I could see like there was a friction and definitely just because of he committed suicide, suddenly the woman had to give answers.
Yeah.
And she was in the she was the criminal there. So my concern is, if this is the case, will women come out and speak out?
Correct.
So this itself is a example we should see that how anybody is treated, if at all the other person does something more heinous. You got the point, no, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
So
it's a very
just-
sensitive view you have taken. I am happy your neutrality and your judgment is very accurate. Our problem is because of the ubiquitous nature of social media and its potential to hype and misinterpret, misinform, we have to be very careful. Social media has never solved any problem. Never. It is either law or mutual communication, mediation, they have solved the problem. So this lady has put up the video, maybe that she had no other avenue of expressing. She might have put up the video, but how she put it up and how it was taken and how this man reacted, all these are chain of events in a sequence. But the social media consumers are not irrational audience. For them it is either black or white. Truth is always in between, as you rightly said. So a proper inquiry should have been held before calling her the accused. And also this man's background. Who will commit a suicide just because one video has come? You would stand up and you would give your viewpoint as well. Then they said he was a godly man. If a godly man is seen in such, as you rightly said, there was no physical distance maintained by this man. His body language was invasive. You got it. You got it accurately. This is so nice. But the power of the social media we cannot undermine positively also. For example, Nirbhaya incident came to limelight because there was a social media post. Somebody who cited her body put it in the social media, the news. That's why everybody got to action. Police also swung into action. So there is a power in the positive power in the social media in alerting the community. The negative power is it can be misconstrued because every media message is getting its meaning by the one who receives that message, right? And it is a semantic democracy. Meaning making is everybody's own realm. So if someone like you would have watched it with that mature eye, you would have said, what other facts? Where did this happen? Which bus? You would ask all those questions. But for the irrational consumer of the media, this is the truth. And for the neighborhood, he was a bad man.
Why this question in relative here in today's sense is because, see ma'am, many a times because a lot of youngsters I'm watching sharing photos and videos about themselves. Maybe initially they must have done with some foolishness also. I cannot say foolishness or lust or whatever. But what happens in the meantime is this photos or videos get circulated. Rather than telling that the person who circulated is wrong, all of them will start looking at that girl in a negative space.
Yeah.
So these all things are very scary, and that's the reason why I feel at times they don't open up because of this itself. You know, if they open up, there will be like, okay, why have you put your photos like this? The question will come back to the person itself. So these all things when I see in today's atmosphere, so how does a person open up?
Two important points from your anxiety. One is how much to disclose, who should disclose. Trusting the power of the social media needs to be put in context, what we call as digital literacy.
In social media, I'm talking in a sense of, see, there are highest number of cases. I'm telling you, from what it was before to now.
Yes.
I see tremendous increase in terms of these kind of things. And finally, when it comes out is when the entire thing is spilled out. And maybe a whole hostel gets one particular photos, and that's when it gets spilled out. Prior itself, there is no, there is only don't tell, don't tell, don't tell. Even the friends will tell, don't tell, and it goes to that level. So we've seen this in multiple cases.
Same, we have experience in...
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you
Yeah.
are.
So what we did was we created a emotional well-being center in every campus. And they could anonymously write to the emotional well-being center helpline. I was telling Dr. Grishma, if we could have a helpline, or we could have an avenue where they could fearlessly, without any inhibition, disclose, without disclosing their names. Many a times I get anonymous letters. Then I try to investigate. If I don't find any basis in that, then we ignore. But we then start doing awareness sessions, if it is there. Many a times they disclose the names, then we confidentially we summon both of them. We have to try to give them the idea that we are here to listen to them. That is the first thing. That they are going to be trusted. They are going to be listened to. Many girls, they started opening up after I came because they felt that I was going to listen to them. I was not going to judge them. So this girl who has put in the social media, I agree with you. She might have, but the first thing is, did she do it for popularity or did she do it because he was harassing is the question, the purpose and the intention. If it was for popularity also...
So whatever it is, popularity also still, she took a stance. Let us keep it like that.
Yeah.
There was an offense which was committed. Let us keep it like that. What do you feel, ma'am? Like, there was offense. There was definitely offense which was there.
I mean, unless she had invited him for a reel, him
then
standing...
Then it is something questionable.
Yeah.
But here there is offense. It's not like there was no offense committed by that man. But the entire country fragged her like as
I like
she did
the way you are
popularity.
viewing it. Very few men can view it like that. Immediately the sympathy is with the man. I mean, they wouldn't see the wrongness of the thing.
It's different thing.
For other reasons, he is sympathizing with men. But the main thing is that we have a statement in our law school. We made that poster for everyone. Design Institute helped us to design the poster. One is say no to sexual harassment, and then we narrated what can be sexual harassment. And the second poster we said was zero tolerance to any form of harassment. The zero tolerance principle towards violence is most important. That has to be reiterated by everyone. Then it will create a very positive ecosystem. That's what I feel. And what happens most of the time, the minute the child comes and tells or the student comes and tells, first thing we say is, are you sure? Can anybody do this? Just because you didn't experience, you negate their experience. That is the first thing that is going to make children silent. They feel I am not trusted. They feel, am I wrong? Maybe I am wrongly perceiving. Maybe that person is right. That confusion we should not create. That's very important as teachers. Any other question? Thank you very much.
It was an enriching and thought-provoking session. Madam, your words will surely remain closely to our hearts. Thank you, ma'am. May I now request Dr. Grishma Vivek Alva to kindly present a memento and a gift hamper to the resource person as a token of our appreciation for her valuable time and contribution. With a token of gratitude, presenting a memento of Alva's Pharmacy, a gift hamper with the books of Sabyasachi, Power of Millets, Expressive Journaling, and an intention jar, dry foods, and a traditional delicious sweet. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you is the best prayer that anyone could say. It expresses extreme gratitude, humility, and understanding. A heartfelt gratitude to esteemed resource person, Professor Dr. Shashikala Gurupura, Director of Symbiosis Law School, Pune, and Dean Faculty of Law, for enlightening us with your inspiring presence and valuable words. Thank you, ma'am. My sincere thanks to Mr. Vivek Alva, Trustee, Alva's Education Foundation, Dr. Grishma Vivek Alva, Administrator, Alva's Pharmacy, for their constant support, guidance, and encouragement. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. My deep sense of gratitude to Dr. Archana Prabhat, President of Sakshama, Alva's Women's Association, for her dedication. Thank you, ma'am. A special word of appreciation goes to Mr. Nistula A. Murphy, Maya Sound, Managing Director, VL Foundation, and Gurfur Murphy, Law Associates, LLP. Thank you, sir, for your presence. My sincere appreciation to all the principals, faculty members, non-teaching staffs, and students from various colleges, and to the media persons for your great support who made this event a successful one. Now, all good things must come to an end. I hope that we will bring with us the knowledge and the skills we gained to everyone around us and prove to them that this world is a better place to live in if we only apply our learnings in a good way. This is your MC, Mrs. Charlotte Muniz, lecturer in statistics, signing off. Thank you, one and all. Yes, sir.